Hello, welcome to the video. My name is Eli and I like to talk about books. I have a shirt that says reading is cool, and it's true, and I wore this to work today, and all of the 50-plus-year-old ladies were saying, did I watch that show when I was younger? And I was like, I don't know. I'm less than half your age. Anyway, this video is about books that I could not put down. Books that I recommend everyone to read because you will probably, hopefully, not be able to put them down. This video is a mess. Why am I doing this? Because I'm in a weird mood, and I feel like making videos when I'm in a weird mood is better than making videos when I'm in a not weird mood, because when I'm in a not weird mood, I'm just sad. All right, let's just get into the video, because otherwise I will keep talking myself into oblivion, and I don't want to do that. Starting with books that I could literally not put down. The first one that comes to mind, I feel like, is not, like, people do not hype this book up at all. It's not, I don't know. It's not like, it's not popular on the internet. I've never actually ever heard anyone talk about this on the internet. I picked it up because the author is used in crossword puzzles, and that's James Agee. He won a Pulitzer Prize, and it's Death in the Family. So I read this because James Agee is used in the crossword as a lot because, I mean, he has a lot of vowels in his name, and that's great for the crossword. So I saw this at the bookstore one day, and I decided to pick it up because I'd heard the name around. Once I brought it home, it took me a while to pick it up. This was a slow burn romance. All right, I'll let you know. Sat on my shelf for 3 years before I read it. So I finally decided to pick it up just one day. I don't know, randomly. Probably because I was bored with whatever book I was reading and I wanted a book to read. I picked this up. It starts, as the title suggests, with a death in the family. Literally, from the moment, I started this maybe at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I read until about 12, and I had school the next day, which meant waking up at 6:15. So I read till about 12 in the morning, and I literally did not want to put this down. I debated pulling an all-nighter, which I've never done in my entire life. Like, I always inevitably fall asleep before 3:30. That's not the point, though. The point is, I loved this book so much that I did not want to sleep because I could not put it down. And not necessarily is it a 5-star read. It's not. I think I gave it 4 stars. But I just didn't want to put it down. I just wanted to keep reading. Like, I just wanted to just I don't remember what it's about, so I'm going to read you the back cover because I literally do not remember what it's about, just that I loved it. Okay, so here's the summary. Oh, and we have sultry summer. So remember the word sultry summer. Remember sultry summer, and I'll mention that in my next recommendations, wink wink. On a sultry summer night in 1915, Jay Follett leaves his house in Knoxville, Tennessee to tend to his father, whom he believes is dying. The summons turns out to be a false alarm, but on his way back to his family, Jay has a car accident and is killed instantly. Dancing back and forth in time and braiding in the viewpoints of Jay's wife, brother, and young son, Rufus, Agee creates an overwhelmingly powerful novel of innocence, tenderness, and loss that should be read aloud for the sheer music of its prose. There you go. That's the blurb on the back. I just remember loving this so much that I did not want to put it down. In a way that, like, I wanted to know what happened next, but I also just was so immersed in the writing and the world and the drama that was taking place that I just wanted to keep reading. I just absolutely love this book, and that's what this video is. Me recommending to you books that I read that I could not put down. I couldn't put this down, quite literally. I remember walking in after like 4 hours of sleep. I walked into my English class, and I was like, Jada, have you read this book? And my teacher was like, yeah. And I was like, ugh. And she was like, I know. And I was like, no, can I just read instead of coming to class? And she was like, I'm sorry, but no. Wonderful book. Highly recommend. I just didn't want to put it down. Now, you remember what I said about sultry summers? Now, what about this one? It was a queer, sultry summer. Summer they electrocuted the Rosenbergs, and I didn't know what I was doing in New York. You know what's funny is I actually just read the diary entry that takes place that day, June 19th. It's either June 19th or July 19th. 1953. That is a book that is very highly recommended. This is not necessarily a book that I could not put down, but it is a beautiful book, and it is a book kind of about being once a big fish in a little pond to becoming a little fish in a big pond and being not sure how to cope with it, and that is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is a hard book to read. It deals with a lot of Esther Greenwood's emotional inner state, and sometimes that's not easy to read, but it is a wonderful book. If you're feeling like you once were big fish, little pond, and are now little fish, big pond vibes, You know what I'm saying? Vibes. Look, it's hypnotizing you. Read it. It's also a classic. Sylvia Plath is so cool. We love Sylvia Plath. I love Sylvia Plath, at least. Everything Sylvia Plath writes is something that I wish I could write. This book just hits different sometimes. It is not necessarily a book, again, that you won't be able to put down, but it is a book that... And so, you know, highly recommend. It's about Esther Greenwood. She spends the summer in New York as a fashion intern. She's not really sure why she's there. She thought maybe she was good at writing, but she's there and she just realizes she doesn't like anyone that she's trying to work with, and it's just kind of uncomfortable in general. She feels trapped. She feels like a butterfly in a bell jar. Just not having a great time. Very not with it. Her mental health plummets. Chef's kiss. Oh gosh, what are the next book that I want to recommend? I don't know. I have so many on my floor right now. We're talking books that I couldn't put down. We are talking also books that made me fall in love with the art of reading again. So one of those books that made me not necessarily didn't want to put it down, but it made me fall in love with the art of writing once more. One of those is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. You might recognize this. You might say, where have I heard Flowers for Algernon? I will tell you, I'm not sure if this is true. I believe this is the book that Hazel Grace reads in The Fault in Our Stars, like over and over and over. Doesn't she read obsessively? I think, yes, Flowers for Algernon. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But if I'm right, quote me on that. If I'm wrong, don't. So this is about Charlie. He's basically has a very low IQ when he's a kid. So scientists say, hey, we've been working on this surgery to increase intelligence that has gone really well with a mouse, Algernon, the mouse that's on the cover, and we want to try it on a human. And so Charlie is selected, and it just follows his journey basically from being like very low intelligence to incredibly high intelligence. And it's written from Charlie's perspective, so the language and the writing changes as Charlie becomes more aware and becomes more intelligent. And just it's just like, it's heartbreaking. This book made me cry. But it's just so beautifully written and cleverly written, and yeah, God, Algernon. I just care so much about Charlie and Algernon, and I don't know. It just, you know? Yeah. This book just made me really like reading. I like reading, and this book made me like reading. I literally don't have anything else to say. It's a good book. So another book that I read in high school, these are all books I read in high school, just not when I was out of love necessarily with reading, but when I was doing a lot of reading that wasn't for myself. So one of the books that my friend basically forced me to read, because how had I not read this when I was a prepubescent teenager? I don't know. So my friend basically forced me to read it, and I absolutely loved it. Couldn't put it down. This is the sort of book that I did, despite it being, 500 pages? Despite it being 500 pages, I didn't want to put it down. And you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh, Twilight. Listen, I didn't read this book until I was 16, and so I do think that impacted the way I thought about it. I knew going into it that it was a bad book. It's, first of all, unhealthy, sure, but also just the writing was not good. I knew that much about it, okay? I'd never seen the movie, and I knew going into it, it just wasn't gonna be a good book. I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate this. Claire, why'd you recommend this to me? It's gonna be terrible. And I read it, and I read it in one night. I was like, it's so bad, it's good. It's one of those books. It's so bad, it's good. Now, I bet most people who read a lot when they were a kid have read Twilight, and this might be just like a completely unnecessary recommendation because everyone's like, yeah, I read Twilight when I was 13. I didn't. I did not read Twilight until I was 16. It kind of slaps. I did have a dream last night that I was Bella, but I wasn't Bella. It was weird, but Edward Cullen, but it wasn't Edward. It was a weird dream. It was Twilight. I recognized in my dream that we were Bella and Edward, but we also weren't Bella and Edward. Anyway, so that's kind of why this book is on my mind as well. It is the kind of book that you will pick up and read in one go because it's so intoxicating almost, and it's not a good, okay, I don't want to give anyone the impression that this is well written and well crafted and the ideal. It's not. I mean, Jacob, I'm so hard Team Jacob. If a Jacob man wants to come for me, I'm here for you. Jacob, The point is, I literally couldn't put this book down. And it's bad, but it's good. Intoxicating. It's just fun, okay? You're looking for a fun book to get you to kind of back into the groove of reading. Maybe it's a childhood classic that you loved. Maybe it's a new book. Twilight. Try it out. See what you think. Another book that is a childhood favorite that I will recommend, because when was the last time you read this, if you have read it? And if you haven't read it, please read it right now. And that is The Hobbit. This one doesn't have a cover. I've had this since I was like 8. I have read this so many times. I love this book. I'm trying to find an illustration so that I can kind of hold that up instead. Yeah, here's a good one. Look at that. Alan Lee does amazing illustrations. Anyway, so yes, The Hobbit. Some people have probably seen the movies, Lord of the Rings, same guy, Jert, J.R.R. Tolkien. This book is a child's fantasy book about Bilbo, who goes on an adventure. So he's a hobbit. He has furry feet, walks around barefoot, eats a lot. That's what hobbits do. They live in the Shire. They're peaceful people. They literally don't want anything from life except to live in the Shire and eat food, basically, is my vibe. That's the vibe I get. But Bilbo is pulled into this mysterious adventure. A hobbit adventuring is unheard of. And Bilbo gets pulled into this adventure. It's just fun. It's a classic. It's a childhood favorite. And again, it's in the vein of Twilight. Like, discover an old classic or discover a classic that's new to you. Please read The Hobbit. It's just such a good book. It's just so fun. And also, you have then 6 movies to watch if you want, if you like it, and 3 more books to read if you like the Hobbit world. So, just saying, just a recommendation. Also, 7 books to read because, well, actually, you could probably read J.R.R. Tolkien books and spin-offs for the rest of your life if you were really dedicated, because there are a lot of them. The Hobbit, highly recommend. So the first of the next section of books, which is books I could not put down, which I kind of already did, but you know what, we're confused. This video does not have a linear structure. Thank you very much. And that is, I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid. You may recognize the movie. Obviously, it's a Netflix adaptation, as you can see. I think it's funny, the Netflix adaptation, both main characters are named Jesse in real life. Imagine how confusing that would be, and I wonder, how did they differentiate? Anyway, so the movie is weird and doesn't follow kind of the same structure of the book. I do kind of think, okay, so the blurb, it's one of those books that no longer has a blurb on the back. You know what I'm saying? Where instead of a blurb, it's just a bunch of shout outs. Don't love that because I don't really remember necessarily, like, here's the thing. You don't really remember what it's about because what is it about, you know? It's just eerie and weird, and I just know that I got in a uncomfortable position because I was like, I'm just gonna start the book, and I stayed in that uncomfortable position, as in like I'm sitting in like my desk chair, leaning on my desk like I'm doing homework, and I'm just keeping reading because I can't stop. It's amazing. The movie is also really good in my opinion, and I think both the movie and the book can be reread many times and re-seen, re-experienced. And I'm Thinking of Anything is just like it's just a weird experience. It's just a book you won't want to put down. That's what this recommendation is. Can I tell you anything else about it? No. Just that I loved it and I couldn't put it down. And I recommend. The movie is also just weird, but cool. I don't know about you, but I recommend this. Okay, another book that I could not put down. This is the only nonfiction book in my pile, and that is Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke. This is more, I mean, yes, I couldn't put it down, but it's also kind of in the similar vein of like what I said about the bell jar. You don't really know where you're going in life. You were once a big fish in a little pond, and you are now a little fish in a big pond and freaking out. Same. And Letters to a Young Poet is just Rilke's advice, basically, on how to create art, and I would highly recommend. It's very short, very sweet. I personally think that Rilke has beautiful, beautiful, beautiful writing. I kind of don't think anyone would argue with me on that point, so if you haven't read anything by Rilke, read it. Okay, another book that is similar vein. It's both something that I did not want to put down and read in one sitting the first time that I read it, and I would have the second time I read it if I didn't start it literally at midnight. It was a mistake on my part. I just wanted to start it. And it's also kind of big fish, little pond. I'm going away to college. No freaking clue what I'm doing with my life. And that is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I love this book so much. Everything by Alice Oseman is wonderful, and you will not want to put down. Just my personal opinion. But this specifically follows Aled and Francis, who, so Francis is top girl. She's like, I gotta get into Cambridge, like, grades are life, school is life. I need to be successful and do well and get good grades to be happy. Alad's across the street, you know, the boy on across the street. He's creator of this podcast, University, that Frances is actually a really big fan of. Like, really big fan of. Like, it's actually one thing she enjoys is University and making art for University. Unlike school, which is kind of an obligation. She has to do well in school or she won't succeed in life. And, you know, what is the purpose in life if not to just succeed? Aled and Frances start hanging out and it just like kind of goes from there. And it's just wonderful, but it's not a romance between Aled and Frances, which is, spoiler alert, not really. Wonderful. We don't need a heteronormative romance all the time between our two main characters. And it's just, it's a book about being yourself and figuring out what you want to do with your life. And also a book you won't want to put down. And also a book that might make you discover your love for the art of literature. So in all ways, in every way, this book is amazing, incredible, and highly recommend. Read it. I'll boop you on the nose. Read it. I'm sorry, it's a mess. Okay, another book I'm going to recommend is a book that I don't have with me. I don't have anymore. And it is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. It's a book about a gay 20-something-year-old who, again, doesn't know where she's going in life. What the heck? She has really, 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 really bad anxiety, which was like, there is a trigger warning for that. Anxiety, depression, putting that out into the world. So this main character, basically, she's 100% lesbian, and she needs a job real bad, and so she shows up to this church, and she's like, can I have a job? And they're like, yeah, of course. She lies about her credentials, and she's like, I'm totally religious, and she's not, and she's basically afraid the entire book of being found out, and just, it's kind of a wild ride. It's really fun. It is something you can read really quickly, and it's relatable, in my opinion. If you have anxiety, whew, kind of hits close to home. It's just fun. So the narrator is having an email conversation with this woman, Rosemary, I believe, who thinks that the narrator is her friend Grace, who is actually the person that the narrator took over the job for because she's dead. So she's like impersonating a dead person. I don't know. It's a really fun book. I would recommend. Trigger warning for anxiety and depression, but like overall, very fun, very, very easy to read in my opinion. Just like a wonderful, fun time. Couldn't put it down. And that's what the book recommendations are today. Couldn't put them down. Another book I could not put down, quite literally, it's very short as well, is At Night All Blood is Black by David Diop. I also have the French copy of this, believe it or not. It's written in French. Woo, it's the winner of the 2021 International Booker Prize, so you know it's good, basically. I picked this up because first of all, the cover's cool. And I thought, oh, it won the International Booker Prize. Someone else talked about it on the internet, and I want to try it out. And I picked it up, and my goodness. Basically, you follow this descent into madness. So they're Senegalese soldiers on the French side of the World War, and there's two best friends, and one of the best friends dies, and you follow the other friend's descent into madness, essentially. And it's just the writing. The writing is what gets me. The writing is so beautiful and wonderful and incredible. And if I could write like this, I could die happy. Oh my gosh, the writing. And then it also just the way it's told is so compelling, and you want to know what happens, and it's just, I didn't want to put it down. I literally read this in probably an hour because I could not stop turning the pages. I just wanted to know what happened and keep reading the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful writing. This became an instant favorite. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. I'm dropping it. I'm so excited about it. Check it out. Again, throwing punches. I just read it. Another book that became an instant fave when I read it and also didn't want to put down was Passing by Nella Larson. It's about two friends who are, it's similar to The Vanishing Half, except it came before The Vanishing Half. I haven't read The Vanishing Half, but it's similar to what I've heard The Vanishing Half is about. It's about two friends. They are thriving in African-American 1920s Harlem. Basically, it's about these two women who grew up as best friends. They're both light-skinned black women. They drift apart because basically this one friend decides to put her entire life of Harlem aside, make up a new past for herself where she's a white woman. And the other friend doesn't do that. And so in that way, I think it's similar to The Vanishing Half, except they're not twins, they're just best friends. I wasn't gonna give this 5 stars. I wasn't gonna say this was a top pick immediately. And then it ended. The ending. Just, no. The ending was so incredible. I gasped aloud. I'm not a very audible reader. Like you won't be, I'm reading on the streetcar and you're not gonna be like, wow, they must be reading something super exciting, because my face will just be like, but on the inside I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and I gasped aloud at the end of this book because, oh my goodness, the end of this book. It's quick, it's wonderfully written, the story is compelling, and the ending. Please read this book. Please, please, please. Especially if you like The Vanishing Half and want to know some wonderful writing. And also, we want more people of color in literature, especially women. Please read it. So good. Another book that I highly recommend to everyone I ever meet is an author that I recommend to everyone I ever meet because wow. And this is just a fun book that my tattoo actually, you can't really see it. My tattoo is inspired by this book. And that is Marten. My tattoo is a Marten. Anyway, Brian Doyle. Everything he ever written is pure gold, impeccable, chef's kiss. I would like to eat his if I could osmose the writing ability by eating his brain, I would. I don't really want to eat his brain, but that's what came to mind, so I'm rolling with it. Everything he writes is incredible. He just has a way with language and metaphor and simile and just, whew, oh my god. I want his brain so bad. But anyway, Marten is one of my favorites. The Plover and Marten are two of my top faves of his. Just incredible. Just incredible. Just incredible. Just incredible. So basically, it's about a kid named Dave, and it follows a Marten named Marten, as you might be able to guess. And Marten and Dave just become friends, but Marten's a Marten. You can't be friends with a Marten. He's just he's a wild animal. And it's set on Mount Hood, and it's just nature and love and everything Brian Doyle writes. Again, this is the sort of book that, first of all, I didn't want to put it down, but that's just me. This is the sort of book that will make you fall in love with the art of writing. Brian Doyle, how does he do it? How does he do it? I would like to know. And again, can I osmose the writing knowledge by eating his brain? Because I would. I wouldn't, but I would, because wow. I'm sorry, this is a lot of books, but if you read even just one of the books that I talk about today, let me know, because that is literally all I live for. I just want you guys to read these books so bad if you read them, because I recommended them. You might be my Jacob. Oh god. Okay. We're moving on. Another book. Again, I couldn't put this down. The writing. What? Crazy. Oh my gosh. And that was Sisters by Daisy Johnson. The writing. Hello? How? Can I eat her brain? I'm gonna stop with that. I don't want to eat anyone's brain. That doesn't sound nice at all. Her writing is incredible. It just, wow. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Unreliable narrator. 100%. You do not know what the heck-a-dack-a-dick-doodaloo is going on in this book at all. And it's awesome because of that. And it's something you don't want to put down. It's just haunting, and it's about sisters July and September and their mom, and they move to kind of the middle of nowhere because there's been an accident at school involving July and September, and they just need to get out of where they've been and take a break. So they go out to the middle of nowhere, and July and September kind of go out and meet new people, and July's kind of realizing that her relationship with September is changing and she doesn't want it to change, and I will say nothing more. It's incredible. You know what, guys? I think that might be it. I mean, every single book ever I want you to read, kind of, because if you're reading, that makes me happy. Everything that I've mentioned today, I would highly recommend. Read the books, please. gonna cry. I have cried in these videos before. I do cry. I cry because I love books so much. I'm sorry that the lighting in this video wasn't great. I could have thought that through, but I didn't, and here we are. So, I've talked about a lot of books today, but again, if you read just one, please let me know. This is literally what makes me happy in the world, is knowing that people that I have recommended books to have read the books and enjoyed them. It makes me so happy. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have nothing to say. This is just books that I could not put down, books that I would recommend if you feel like a little fish in a big pond after feeling like a big fish in a little pond for a lot of your life, or if you lost the love of reading because of school, which happens to a lot of people, and I totally understand. And these are just some of my recommendations for books that I could not put down, literally, made me freaking gasp, literally gasp, which doesn't happen very often, again, does not happen very often, and books that just wow with the writing. Wow. They make you realize what literature can do. Thank you so much for watching. I love every single one of you. I hope to see you in my next video. And yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. It's been wonderful. Okay. Read the books, please. Just, oh God.